What is an offset account and how does it work? My name is Thomas O'Regan, and over the last 4 years, me and my wife have 20x'd our equity position in our property portfolio. Now, just to be blunt, an offset account in a property portfolio is money you keep as cash is one way of saying it, or equity that you have access to within your bank account that is reducing the total amount on your payable loan balance. Now let's break that down. For example, if you have a loan on your property for $100,000 and for example you have cash savings in the bank account in an offset account of also $100,000, guess what you would have to pay for the loan? You would have to pay $0 for that loan. You don't have to pay anything in interest repayments for a loan if you have an offset, if you have that loan amount fully offset. Now let's look at a different situation. Say for example, if you had $1 million loan with a principal place of residence or investment property, it doesn't matter, and it was interest only, for example, and you wanted to put all your cash savings in what is called an offset account so that it would reduce the total amount of interest or total amount of payment you have to make for the loan. Say for example, if you started with $1 million loan and the interest payments was interest only at 6.5%, then per year you would be paying $65,000. Now, what would happen if you were to put $500,000 of cash in the offset account? Then you would be paying half of the amount in interest per year. So instead of paying $65,000 per year, you would be paying $32,500 per year. Now you're probably wondering, but if all the cash does is reduce the amount you are paying on the loan, why wouldn't you just pay down the loan directly? Well, if you're an investor or anyone for that matter, the reason you wouldn't put the money directly into the loan, because if you put it directly into the loan without having it in an offset account, then you wouldn't have access to the money. And for example, if you have $5,000 in an offset account, you might have that money in an offset account because you may need access to it for some sort of family emergency, or you might want it in there because it's money that you're saving up for a holiday, or it's money that you're saving up for a car, or it's money that you're actually saving up so you can buy another investment property. Now let's look at another few ways of how an offset account can work. It doesn't need to be cash that's in the offset account. It actually can be equity. Now, for example, if you had it, let's just say if you bought a property for $1 million and you also had a loan, for argument's sake, for $1 million, and the property went up over time to $2 million, and you were just on an interest-only loan, so that after the property is sitting at a value of $2 million, and the loan amount is still $1 million. Now, what could you do if you didn't have any cash, but you also wanted to have access to your equity? Now, you would refinance the property to a higher LVR than it currently is in the marketplace, meaning the new value of the property, you would borrow against that. So you might want to take out $500,000 of equity, meaning you would increase your original loan balance from $1 million to $1.5 million. Now that would increase the LVR of the property, which is not a problem, but what it would do is it would give you access to $500,000 of equity, and it would sit in your offset account just like cash would. And the original $65,000 per year that you were paying on the $1 million loan would still be $65,000 a year until the day that you start drawing down that equity that you put in the or that you drew out from that loan. Now again, why would you want to pull out the equity in the first place? Again, you could pull out the equity as some sort of cash buffer for any family emergency or a new purchase of a new investment property or anything like that. And again, people might say, yeah, but it doesn't make any sense. There's no point in doing that. And they may also think it is always going to be there. You're gonna always have the opportunity to pull out that cash in a redraw or equity line. But the reality is, you may be able to pull that cash out today, and I would urge people to pull it out whenever you have the chance, because situations may change and you may be in a situation where you think you are able to pull that out in the future, but you actually are not, because maybe, for example, to pull that money out, you need to get paid a certain amount, which you are getting paid from your job. But for example, if you lose your job, then all of a sudden you are not getting paid that amount of money you would need to pull the equity out, and therefore you don't have the option to pull the equity out. So you've just foregone an opportunity to have some equity buffers, and now you're in a worse off situation because, for example, you lost your job and you can't pull that money out. So that's basically how an offset account works, and hopefully this was helpful for you guys if you're thinking about using an offset account, pulling out some equity, or whatever you want to do. See you guys next time. Bye.